Hello. I just wanted to talk about darts for a minute because recently I came to the realization that it's actually my favourite sport, which, as a lifelong Formula One fan, was a big shock to me. So I've been thinking about it a lot recently. Um, so I've kind of been discovering the reasons why I'm not as big a fan as sports like F1 and snooker as I once was, as well as just my ever increasing passion for darts. I got into darts a few years ago, probably 2019, um, and Michael van Gerwen was the player that got me into darts because obviously he was just on another level, so watching him at his peak should have been enough to get anyone into darts, I feel. So I was hooked immediately. I remember his 17 darts, watching that on repeat, and he just seemed to be getting 9 darters and winning tournaments constantly. He was on top form and dominating, so I naturally came to support him, not only because he was winning, but because I credited him for igniting my love for the sport, essentially. And I've been a fan of him since, even after exploring all of the players on the tour and getting to know all of the ones and all the English ones as well. MVG is still my player, ahead of all the, ones who are from my country. Of course, I want the English boys to do well, of course, but MVG will always be the one who has a place in my heart, I think, because he just got me into the sport. So yeah, that's what got me into it, and then the pandemic happened, and I got a dartboard for my birthday, and we weren't allowed to go anywhere, obviously, because of the pandemic, but I still wanted to get fresh air, so unbelievably, I put the dartboard on the door of my shed at the bottom of our garden, and I played darts outside, which shouldn't work, but it's how I started, and I spent the whole summer just practicing. I'd spent hours a day on it, maybe 7 hours a day, and I didn't get any better. I could barely average 30, and I spent 70 to 90 darts to complete a leg, but I didn't care because it was just fun. And that's another great thing that I love about the sport. I'm awful at it, and I couldn't play to save my life, but it's just enjoyable. The repeated action is just so mesmerizing, and you can lose hours to it easily without even thinking. You'd think it gets boring after a while, but it just doesn't. And I just love that anyone can play it. It's a working man's sport. It's in pubs. More pubs definitely need it. I hate that it's becoming quite specialised now with bars like the 501 bars and like specific darts bars like Flight Club as well. I just wish it was a more universal thing across all pubs like you get with pool. That's the dream, but I know we're kind of going in the opposite direction, which is gutting for me personally. Because I think it could become much more widespread. I don't know if you'd agree, or if, there's a reason that it's going out of fashion, I don't know, but I feel like it could really help its popularity if it was just more accessible across more general pubs and not just dart-specific bars. And something that I've been struggling with Formula One a lot recently that I've been becoming more aware of is the rules, which are so confusing and so extensive. It's impossible for anyone to understand them fully, let alone a new fan or a casual fan who just wants to get into the sport or enjoy the races. It's so difficult to understand what's going on. Even the basic fundamentals are incredibly complicated, like strategy and safety cars and DRS. There are so many circumstances and situations where the rules are specific to that one instant. It's incredibly hard to explain to people, and it's incredibly hard to follow as a lifelong fan, let alone a new fan or a casual fan. And that leads me on to the other thing I love about darts, is the rules are so simple. There's very rarely a controversy, unless the players are just winding each other up or the crowd are on a particular player's back or something like that. But the rules themselves, it's so simple and it's beautifully crafted that there's... I can't recall. I've been, watching for years now, and I can't recall any instance where the rules have been questioned. I think the biggest thing I can think of was when they changed the format of the Premier League recently, but that was welcomed, I think. Obviously, there are always people who are going to be sceptical and hate change in general, but I think the vast majority of people have enjoyed the new format of the PL, and I'm one of them, and I love the change. I think it's really benefited the tournament and helped the sport. And linking to snooker as well, the other thing I love about darts is the pace, which I have to admit I struggle with watching snooker. If you've heard me speak about this before, you'll know I'm a Ronnie fan, and obviously his speed and his exciting style and the way he plays is the majority of the appeal for me, and which is why I watch his matches. And aside from Ronnie, I'll only watch a full snooker match if it's a major game between either two players I love or a big final that, I feel like I should watch to qualify as a snooker fan. But yeah, the pace of darts just makes it enjoyable regardless of who's playing, and I could watch any darts match and enjoy it. I don't have Sky, so the tournaments I can watch are few and far between, but whenever it's on telly and I'm available and I can catch it, I'll watch it. I don't care who's playing. Obviously I'll support MVG, but if the darts is on, I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it. And it's because of the pace. Even the slowest players, that just the action of playing darts, it's a fast sport. The players who take their time, visits in general, are still very quick. They take no time at all. And after that, the next player just walks up to the oki, and as the other player is walking back, the next player is throwing, and it's just gripping, and then when a player does take a pause and a step back, you feel the tension. It's not like in snooker when people can take advantage of it and walk around the table unnecessarily and take 30 seconds to a minute between shots. Or a safety battle exchange can just take so long, and I have to admit I'm one of those people, I'm embarrassed to say, who watch clips on YouTube and highlights videos and things, and I do fast forward the time in between shots a lot of the time, because essentially you're just watching someone think. And, I'll love it for a period. I love figuring out what the player's going to play and, the next shots and how it's going to develop. I agree, it's fascinating. But over a whole match, it can get quite grating for me personally. So I do find myself skipping the in-between time spent between shots on the highlights videos and the videos that get uploaded to the snooker channel. I try to skip to where the shots are actually played, and that's just what darts is in a nutshell. It's just shot after shot after shot, and it's just so dramatic. You don't have to even have heard of the players playing. Luke Littler being the perfect recent example. I hadn't heard of him before the World Championships. I'm sure many others felt the same. And now he's a worldwide name. He's become national news. I can't speak for internationally, but in the UK, I can say for certain he's been on numerous chat shows, podcasts, interviews, and newspapers, and in the media in general. There have been countless articles about him. So I just feel like it's so much more accessible when the sport itself is that exciting. It can feel so much more accessible when people can get on board with a national representative and someone who's just come in and swept taken the world by storm in their chosen field. So, yeah, those are the main reasons why I love darts, and I recently realised that it's become my favourite sport, which I never expected because I've been a Formula One fan since I was a kid. Yeah, and darts has been a very recent addition to my hobbies and viewing, in relative terms, but yeah. So I'd love to know why you love darts, and if you're watching this, who you support, and your predictions for upcoming tournaments. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for listening.